Accurate field mapping is the foundation for efficient fully autonomous operations. The app typically supports several mapping methods. RC mapping, walk the boundary or obstacle perimeter using the remote controller's built-in GPS or RTK. Aircraft mapping, fly the drone along the boundary or obstacle perimeter to record points. RTK handheld mapper, use a dedicated high-precision RTK rover for mapping, if available. Import existing map files, e.g., KML, SHP, TIFF. 1. Mapping boundaries.
We will take map mapping as an example. And next, we can open Agricultural Assistant App. We click on Mapping of and Flying, or we can also click R1 on our remote controller. And next step, we should notice the upper right corner and choose Field Mode. After we open this, the first one. Okay. And next, we can choose to click on Mapping. We can also use B1 on our remote controller to do this. And next is how to name our plot. Well, we suggest to name the plot with the area and its date, for example. Well, now we can remember this plot very easy. And click Confirm. And next on the upper right corner, we can see here is to select different marker type. And now I will show you. You can see there are 3 different types. There are map, RTK, and aircraft. And just beside this, there is a RTK precision. So every precision for each marker type are displayed on the screen. And now on the right center of the screen, we can see there are different point type we need to use in operation. Now you see there are boundary, round obstacle, and even non-spraying area. And next, I will teach you how to mark a field with boundary point. And here also, on the upper right corner, we select our marker type to map. And next, on the right center, we choose point type with boundary. And next, I will show you how to do that. When we try to mark the point, we can use adding on our screen or use B2 on our remote controller. Well, that's for the first boundary point. And next, and the third, and fourth. And make sure to mark these points one by one so that we can get a full area of the plot or field, you may call it. And after the mapping or marking is finished, we should click Confirm to save the plot. And next, for the instructions when we mark the border point. And for the first one, well, if you find there is something wrong with the point you mark, you can choose one point, taking the second one as an example, and click this for twice. And now you can see we have already deleted this point. And also, we take the first point as an example. We click this, and on the left extension bar, we can choose Delete. Now they do the same operation. And the second instruction is on how to add a new point when we miss a point in our field. Well, this one, we will take the third one as an example. But please always bear in mind that make sure the point you want to add is next to the previous point. Well, here, taking this as an example, we choose number 3 point. And now we will add a new point. Also click Adding or B2 on our remote controller. So here, we get the fourth one. You can see the marker. Now the fourth one is actually the point we miss. And next instruction, when we mark the point, we should always be sure the distance between 2 points no less than 1 meter. For example, when we try to mark the point here, it tells us the distance should be at least 1 meter. And the fourth instruction, when we try to mark any point, we have to always be sure that the point or plot you marked should not be crossed with each other. And that is mean to mark any point in sequence or in order, otherwise you can't get the plot you want. And for some particularly small area, there is no need to mark any point. For example, you can see here, this small area, no need to mark any point. We can delete this point. And this area, we just need to fly it manually. And obstacle points are divided into round obstacle point and obstacle area.
2. Mapping obstacles.
And now I will show you how to mark a round obstacle area. Here you can see to select a marker type, we will choose map. And next, in the point type, we will choose the second one, the round obstacle. And here, in the field, we always choose to add a new round obstacle area. And here, on the left page, the bar, we can choose to adjust the radius and position of this area. For example, we can adjust the radius here, like now we adjust it to 7 meters. But always be sure that the radius of the round obstacle area should always be larger than the obstacle itself. And next, I will show you how to mark a obstacle area. But always remember that these steps are very similar. Now you can see the right center. We select the marker type to map, and the right center, select point type to obstacle. And now, for example, I will mark an obstacle area. Now, it's the first obstacle point. Now the second. After completing the fourth obstacle point, we get this whole area. But please always bear in mind that this area should always be larger than the real obstacle. And next, I will teach you some instructions to notice. For example, some clients want to delete one obstacle point or two obstacle points. For example, when we want to delete this 4 obstacle point, we can choose to double click. And now it's been deleted. Also, taking the first one as an example, we can delete this point on the left extension bar. And one more thing about the obstacle point is that we have to mark this point in sequence. Otherwise, we can't save the plot, like shown in this screen. And the third point to notice that when we try to mark any obstacle point area, we have to make sure that these points should be at least 3 points. Next, I will take an example. Now the first point. Second point. Now we can't get the full obstacle area until we mark the third point. And one more thing to bear, that the distance between 2 obstacle points should not be less than 1 meter. For example, if the distance is less than 1 meter, it will alarm you. For the fifth instruction, I want to tell you that when we try to mark another obstacle area, we have to make sure that the point is not selected by yourself. For example, now the 3 point is already been selected, so you can't mark another new obstacle area. We have to point another place again. Now we can select a new obstacle area. So here we got 2 different obstacle areas. And for sixth instruction, we have to always bear in mind that the obstacle area, should always be larger than the real obstacle itself.
3. Importing maps.
Today we'll talk about how to import aerial maps in Agri Assistant App of version 8.0. Tools. Mapping drone. It is recommended to use the mapping drone with RTK to collect picture data, because there may be a large error in the position information of GPS mapping drone. Image processing software, PIX forward fields, is recommended. If you use other image processing softwares and exist compatibility problems, please contact the after sales. A large capacity FAT32 USB flash drive. Note, back up the internal files of the USB flash drive before operation to prevent loss. Steps. Connect the USB flash drive to the remote controller USB connection port. See whether the USB flash drive is connected normally. If the flash drive is damaged, format the flash drive on the remote controller. After connecting the USB flash drive to the remote controller successfully, remove the USB flash drive from the remote controller, then connect it to the computer. Import the TIFF pictures into the USB flash drive and then connect it to the remote controller. Start the Agri Assistant app, tap USB flash drive in the main interface, then tap the upper right extension bar, choose Aerial Survey Results. Choose the files with TIFF endings that have been generated by the software, then tap Confirm. Wait until it finishes. Select Routes in the right extension. Select Aerial Survey Results. Tap the imported plot. You can quickly find the plot of Aerial Survey. Then change the upper right corner Aerial Survey to Routes mode. Then we can carry out mapping on the map plot. Tap Mapping. Select Mark Type as Map to carry out the dot operation of boundary points, obstacle points, etc. Above is today's lesson.